Let's hit some anytime goal scorers as well as safe shots on goal for some of these goalies. Give me both teams to score in the first period. That's coming in at plus 185 compared to the over 1.5 that is at minus 120. Okay, you guys ready? Let's make some frickin' money. It's time for Pocket with Jo. Good morning, everyone. Jo here of SportsGrid. It's time for Pocket with Jo over here on SportsGrid TV on X. Yes, we are talking foreign nations, and we will see two games out there on the ice. The one kicking off pretty quick here between Sweden and Finland, and then tonight's game, the game everyone, I swear, in North America has been waiting for, Team USA versus Team Canada. So we're going to jump into this first game here. As we kick off this show, looking at Finland versus Sweden. Now, you just caught me writing down a couple of things that I wanted to make sure I got into bet in this matchup. Firstly, Mika Zibanejad for Team Sweden here. I am looking at him for his points tonight. If you didn't see the quick video I posted earlier on YouTube over here, Mika Zibanejad looking pretty happy with himself, drawing smiley faces out there with the water bottle. I do think he's in for a big day. He's riding on either the first or that second line. William Nylander should be one of his line mates out there. So I'm looking for a lot out of him. But looking at this game, let's start breaking it down, you guys. Minus 230 here for Sweden on the money line. Now, this line has moved significantly after we saw what Finland did versus the USA. It was more what Finland did versus the USA that moved this line than it was what Sweden did versus Canada, in my opinion. We were seeing, minus 140s for this matchup originally, with Sweden getting the win over getting the loss in overtime versus Canada in a game that they were able to push and come back. We did see that line move to like a minus 160, and then with Finland losing in the fashion they did to Team USA, we saw them balloon to a $2 favorite. And now this morning it's up to minus 230 here for Sweden. So unbettable on that money line. We got to find a way to make some money in this game, though. Total of 5.5. Now, I still do think Sweden is the better team. I like them coming into the Four Nations face-off for the ability to take it all, just with how we've seen. Okay, guys, I might have been frozen for a second there. Apologies if I was. With what we had seen out of Sweden, I like their blue line. I really do think they have that rhythm out there on the ice. They have the forwards, they have the defense. So looking at this matchup here, or looking at the Four Nations futures, we got Team USA at minus 105. They were in the second spot. Canada was the favorite. Now, Team USA has 3 points going into today. Canada has 2 with the overtime win. Sweden has 1 with the overtime loss, and Finland sitting there with 0 points with the loss in regulation. So Finland, they feel like they're out of the race, right? Watching what this team has done in that first game versus Team USA. Yes, they did come out and score first, but they just are not at the same level as the other 3 teams. So they're plus 2,600. If you do think somehow they're going to be able to turn this around, I'm just not buying into it. Sweden coming in at plus 650. Again, they were plus 420 coming into the Four Nations, and Canada at plus 145. And so they have moved from the favorite. Looking here at the matchup today, what we're seeing for those lines, like I said, huge favorites here for Sweden. Laying 1.5 on that puck line is plus 120. It is an all right way to go. Now, I did already take them over 3.5 goals. That was coming in at plus 112. I want to see what that's coming in for you guys live betting it today, because I did get that number yesterday and we have seen a lot of movement in that. Okay, so the over 3.5 goals, you're actually still getting value. It's plus 110. So you've lost a couple of points there, but still worth betting. We look at those top lines here for Sweden, and I do think with the weaker goaltending here for Finland, we're going to see Sweden be able to get past the blue line and be able to get those shots on goal. Finland does have a strong offense. I could see them putting up a couple more goals than they did in the last one if Sweden discounts them here. Like, this is a really solid defense for Sweden, and I do think that's one thing people are counting out of this team is how solid the defense is. Now, in net tonight, we will see Gustafsson here for Sweden. We know how solid he's been all season for the Minnesota Wild. He's had a couple of hiccups in the season, but I do think he's a better goaltender. Now, they won't go back to Saros. They are going for Finland. They are going to Kevin Lankinen of the Vancouver Canucks. So he will be the goaltender in net tonight. when I just look at these two teams, I do think Sweden has the ability to really push. Now, they faced Canada. They were able to push their way back. I'm going to also look at this one. If we do see Finland go up first, for Sweden to do the same thing, because we really saw them get their skates under them in that second period versus Team Canada. So if Sweden goes down, I'm not going to be concerned at all. I'm going to look here for a really strong performance out of them. I'm going to look for those goals to come in. And I want to find value if Finland's able to do what they did to the U.S. and come out and get a surprising goal. So looking at the players that I do have circled, you guys, because, you know, I got players circled in this one for those points, for those goals. Now, I mentioned Mika Zibanejad right off the top here. Now, you can't take him for a point. This is something I want to know. So if on your book, and this is what I want to tell you guys, FanDuel does not have Mika Zibanejad for the point, but if you can find him for the point, make sure you take him for the point today. You can take him for the goal. Now, his anytime goal coming in at plus 340. I do like his ability in being on one of those top two lines with William Nylander out there and Jasper Bratt. I think we're going to see success out of Mika Zibanejad. So it should be a good game. Like I said, he's drawing smiley faces out there behind the bench for the camera. So with his water bottle. So that is where I would be going. You also look at this team, you know, you've got so many playmakers here. Elias Pettersson, Leo Carlsson, Victor, Jasper Bratt, Leo Carlsson. Yeah, there's so many guys. Lucas Raymond, and I think they can. And then strong defenses as well. Rasmus Andersson, Rasmus Dahlin. So lots of ways to go. When we look at Finland, I don't like to discount them too much. We do have a solid forward unit here for this team. Patrick Laine from Montreal, we know how much success he's had. Sebastian Aho, we also have their captain Barkov. So I think you can play around with those points. Like I said, I think Finland might get 2 goals in this one, but at the end of the day, I really do see this as being a 4-2 win here for Sweden. So good morning to each and every one of you for joining me here. Jeffrey, thank you for being here. Let's look at the next matchup. The matchup I can't wait to see out there on the ice. I'm going to be completely glued to my TV between Team USA and Team Canada. Now, we have seen movement in this line. It's a straight pick 'em at minus 110. When we started the Four Nations, Canada was the favorite with the look-ahead lines here. It has got that parity with Team USA just so strong versus Finland. We got a pair of goals out of both of the Tkachuk brothers, Brady and Matthew. They looked excellent. And Connor Hellebuck, God, he was stellar between the pipes. So looking at the matchup here, it is expected that we'll see Connor Hellebuck. Still no confirmation here for Team USA. And I will think that they will go back to Binghamton for Canada. Now, Binghamton looked great in the third period and the second period. For Team Canada, even though we allowed Sweden to get back in the game, some of those high danger shots that he saved was elite. Now, I know the star power on the forwards on both sides of this game. If anyone takes penalties, you know, Team Canada, that power play is freaking incredible, you guys. Team USA, their star power, their forward units are going to be on fire. But I think in this matchup, Canada always dominates the States. I do think this has to be a defensive battle. That has to stay under the 6.5. And will I shoot myself in the foot if it goes to overtime? Absolutely, because if this goes to overtime, it's 3-3 going to OT. I'm going to take the opportunity of this one going to overtime. I'm going to sprinkle on that. That's coming in at plus 320. But I think it stays under the 6.5. I could see this more so being the 2-2 game going to overtime, but we always have the opportunity of 3-3. So especially with the power on both sides offensively. So 6.5 is your total, minus 122 to the under. I will be looking at that in this matchup. And then when we start to talk about who I think can find the back of the net, you know, you look at Connor McDavid on that top line with Sidney Crosby. I took a parlay of Connor McDavid for a point and Sidney Crosby for a point. Parlayed together, it's coming in at plus 109. I do think they have every ability to find the back of the net, both of them. So, excuse me, I just have to cough here for 1 second. Sorry, guys. Breathing would be a strong suit to be able to do today. So I took Sidney Crosby and Connor McDavid, parlayed them for a point. When you parlay those guys for points, coming in at plus 109. If you want to just look at Sid the Kid, we know how late he is for Team Canada to find the back of the net like that lamp. He's coming in at plus 190, but I'm leaning more towards Connor McDavid at plus 210. I do think Connor McDavid is so strong not to be able to find the net tonight. So It should be a good one. We know the Tkachuk brothers, Brady and Matthew, were able to find the net in that last game out. But Canada has so much power out there. You look at that top line, Sam Reinhart, Connor McDavid, Mitch Marner, and then you got Sidney Crosby, Nathan McKinnon, Mark Stone. And then third line is Brad Marchand, Braden Point, and Seth Jarvis. And then Brandon Hagel, Sorelli, and Krojtekny on that fourth line. So those are your top forwards. Now, when you look at the defense, there is kind of something going on. Cale Makar didn't hit the ice for practice tonight, so not sure what's happening with them. It looks like they're going to be rolling with only 5 forwards out there, so we'll see what happens. But just Josh Morrissey, Theodore, Drew Doughty, there's still defensive power out there. And when we look here at what we're going to see out of Team USA, I tell you, this Team USA is just as stacked as Team Canada. This is why I think we see a playoff style hockey game out there between them. You look at the top line for Team USA, you got Kyle Connor, Jack Eichel, Matthew Tkachuk, and then the second line, Gunsel, Austin Matthews, Jack Hughes, third line, Brady Tkachuk, JT Miller, Matt Boldy. Now, we saw a lot of switching up of these lines versus Finland. We did see the Tkachuk brothers out on the same line at some point. So this is basically where I think these lines should start in this matchup, and we'll see how they kind of switch them around. That fourth line is Brock Nelson, Vincent Trocheck, and Dylan Larkin. So much power out there. You know, you got Adam Fox on defense. You've got Charlie his name's on the tip of my tongue. I'll remember it in just 1 second. Noah Hanovan. You got so many McAvoy. You got so many playmakers out there on the ice. This has to be playoff style hockey. So that's where I'm going, you guys. I don't trust these teams to really play a 5-4 game, right? Like if you're looking at an over, it squeaks over from overtime. I just don't see it being that high, even though we know we've got the power out there. Now, could this one start off fast in the first period with those mistakes out there and lock down in the second? Absolutely. So if you want to take the first period over 1.5, I don't blame you. Now, we are seeing that overtime, we've lost value. It was plus 320 earlier. It's now coming in at plus 300 as people are starting to get their money in on the overtime bet. I can't see Finland and Sweden pushing to overtime. So that is where I'm going, you guys. It's going to be a great day out there on the ice. So just to recap, between Finland and Sweden, my favorite bet in that game is to take Sweden's team total over 3.5 goals. Now, I did hear, so Mikko Rantanen and Forsberg, Mikko Rantanen from Finland and Forsberg from Sweden. If you parlay those guys together, it's coming in at plus 164. I might also do Rantanen and Zibanejad, but you can't get the point again on FanDuel. So if you can get it off FanDuel, I did get it off FanDuel on a different book, and that was coming in at plus 180. So Mikko Rantanen, I think he's undervalued here for Finland, and Forsberg here for Sweden. So that's where I'd be looking at Mika Zibanejad for Sweden. When we look at Team Canada versus Team USA, I do think Canada has the ability to win. This is a game I want to live bet, though, you guys. So just to note, in this one, minus 110 on either side of this. Canada over the years has dominated Team USA. They were the favorites going into this for a reason. I do think it could push to overtime, though. So give me the plus 300 to go to overtime. Give me the under 6.5. I'm going to go lightly on that under 6.5 just because I think, 2-2 to overtime. Perfect. That's what we need. But if this goes 3-3 to overtime, we're going to lose that 6.5 bet. I think this is tight. I think this could start off fast. So I don't hate the over 1.5 in the first period, but lock down in the second and then see that tie up in the third. So that is where I'm going. The goal scorers I'm looking at for Team Canada, because I think Canada gets the win at the end of the day. So I love looking at their player props first. I'm going to look at Sidney Crosby and Connor McDavid for the point parlay together. That's coming in at plus 109. Outside of that, I will take Connor McDavid for the anytime goal at plus 210. I think Connor McDavid lights the lamp in this matchup. So you guys, all the best in all of your bets. Rob, go Sweden. Let's have a freaking day out there. Now, if you want to be a little risky out here, I would look at maybe not. I was going to say, take Sweden laying the 1.5 at plus 120 and parlay it together with Canada at minus 110, but it's not giving me enough value out there. I think I'd be kind of looking at combining some of those player props for more value, because that is only putting us at Same game. Where did it go? Okay, they just kind of took it off. It's frozen right now. I've got my lines frozen up for USA and Canada. We are seeing some movement out there. But you guys, all the best in all your bets. Let's make some freaking money on today's Four Nations matchup. Don't forget, I will be live on the grid 4 p.m. Eastern all the way to 8 p.m. Eastern, talking college basketball. And yeah, we'll be dropping some picks as well for the Four Nations games, but we're going to be live betting these college basketball games. Can hardly wait for the games this afternoon. We got some great games this morning as well, so stay tuned for my Cup of Joe. That will be up shortly, and if you haven't gone over to the SportsGrid app today and checked out the Madden Quickie, make sure you do so. You guys, I will see you tomorrow. Thanks again for joining me here on Puck It with Joe.